leave it up to Lifetime to take one of the most polarizing figures of the 90s and water them down to basically nothing. I am so perturbed right now, Tiera. I really am, because while it is Lifetime and you have Lifetime expectations, I thought with such good casting that we would get something maybe a little bit better than this. But Lifetime is true to form. We are reviewing what did they title it exactly?
It is exactly called Miss Cleo, Her Rise and Fall.
Okay. So check out this trailer. And then we'll be right back with our concise review of this.
Not concise.
Call me now for your free reading.
Let's make some money. $24 million a month.
You're mocking our Jamaican heritage.
She's ripping off millions of people.
I'm paying my bills and taking care of my kids. I'm not hurting anyone.
Our name's in the lawsuit.
But it's my face.
First things first. I want to fully acknowledge the Lady of Rage.
That's right.
I think that the popular zeitgeist of people would know her as Baby D.
Dang, really?
Which is
okay.
Is crazy to say, but a lot of people know Baby D and they know the references from Next Friday and so on. But Lady of Rage is, early female hip hop pioneer doing her thing. She's been in multiple movies, but I don't think she's ever actually been a leading lady until now.
I don't think she has. She's also been on TV shows. She was on, if I'm not mistaken, was it the Steve Harvey Show? She played.
Yep.
Yeah. She played one of the high school students. So she's been in the acting game for a while. And it's funny you said that Baby D is what most people think of. I instantly think of Afro Puffs. Rough and stuff with my Afro Puffs. And maybe I'm dating myself a little bit with that, but that's where I go when I think of Lady of Rage.
Yeah. What I'll say is that we don't, and it could be for a multitude of reasons. We don't see her enough, in my opinion.
I agree.
I've never not enjoyed her work, be it music or film. I've never not enjoyed seeing her, come on screen and do her thing. So this was quite the treat. And I must say, the best casting choice by far of the entire movie. But
agreed, yes.
And honestly, the best part of the entire movie, which is ideal because she's our lead. She's playing Miss Cleo. Miss Cleo, the enigma, the persona.
Yeah.
How would you describe Miss Cleo in your words?
It's funny you use the word polarizing, and I think that's a perfect word. But I also gotta go with iconic. We've never seen another character like this. And I'm using the word character specifically.
Yeah.
We've never seen anybody like her. And when she came up on our TV screens, we were all like, who is this lady? She's an auntie. She's a granny. She's someone we all know, but she's also someone we've never seen before. She's got this accent, which we later come to know that it was supposed to be a Jamaican accent. And it was just like, she was something we had never seen before. And she's also someone that I don't think could exist outside of the 90s, outside of that time frame. Era, it was very specific. Iconic though.
Yeah.
Iconic.
I distinctly, I always wanted to call that line.
Always.
But I wasn't gonna play on my mama's phone. But I remember, and it would be throughout the day. How some things, some infomercials and stuff like that would play at a certain time and late in the evening / early morning. Cleo seemed to be on all day, every day.
All day.
All day, every day.
All day,
Right
every day.
before Jerry Springer, right after Maury. You name it.
Before Judge Judy, after Montel, just whenever.
Yeah, and her image is branded in our memory, especially if you lived through that time. It like you said, it only could have happened when it did.
Yeah.
So let's get into the movie a bit, and we'll break down what Lifetime attempted to do with this figure. And first, do you have a synopsis for us? And also, who's in our main cast, if you will?
I do have a synopsis for us, but I have a question for you first, though, before we get into the synopsis. Did you ever see the documentary that HBO did a couple years ago about? You saw that? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have that for context when you were watching.
Correct. And
okay.
And that coming in front of this is going to be the reason why I get to what I get into, honestly.
Okay. All right.
So
part of me was hoping that you hadn't seen it because I wanted to know what you thought about her story and her life, just like for your first time seeing it. But you've seen the doc, so you got foundation. Okay. Our main character is, of course, played by Lady of Rage, aka Robin Allen. We also have Daphne Reid, who a lot of y'all will know from being the light-skinned Aunt Viv, the polarizing light-skinned Aunt Viv. And she's actually married to the director of this film, Tim Reid, aka Ray Campbell, if you watched Sister Sister. You see all these 90s icons. You see how it's just coming back up? We love this. Also on our cast, another name you will probably know, Tawanda Braxton. Yes, that Tawanda Braxton. Then we also have Shane Johnson and Ian Bowen. So those are like the main characters from this film. What was that?
Who is Shane and
They were Peter and Steven, and they were the owners of the Psychic Network. Not Psychic Friends Network, the Psychic Network.
It was PR and Psychic Reading Network?
Reading Network, something like that.
Yeah.
Scammers.
Yeah.
The scammers of it all.
Crucial characters. And honorable mention to Coco Brown, who appeared in this as well.
That's right. That's right.
First things first, Tim Reid. All the things, all the acknowledgments. And honestly, when the movie was starting and, the credits roll at the beginning and his name popped up as director, I was like, yo, okay.
I was surprised. I was shocked. I was very shocked. Yeah.
He's just someone that you automatically, let me speak for me. He's just someone that I automatically have like respect for. You know what I mean? And so seeing him be listed as a director in this, I was like, okay, let's see what we can get out of this. Because again, it's Lifetime. Right?
Yes, it is.
So everyone who grew up in the 90s, 80s, 70s, as long as you grew up through that period, you could not escape the hold that Miss Cleo had on popular culture. She was on so many talk shows. Her voice was on so many things. And then you've made it. You really made it when all the popular skit shows spoof you.
Yeah.
There's anytime any show has done a episode, it could be a sitcom, whatever, and there's a psychic episode or something, they rip off the Miss Cleo character. Right?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because in the documentary that HBO did, Raven Simone's in it, and she talks about that. She talks about being a 90s kid, growing up like us, watching us on TV, and really kind of creating her character, the psychic part of her character, after Miss, her character on That's a Raven, after Miss Cleo. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. There was an episode where on That's a Raven, there was an episode where she was working at a psychic network,
I remember.
Right? And so it was made from Miss Cleo's image. We also see people like Deborah Wilson who
respect her name.
yes. Deborah Wilson, who of course, did the character on like Mad TV and so on. But again, just a popular figure overall. So they start out with Miss Cleo being at the local theater. They were going to be putting on a play. What was Miss Cleo's real name, they said?
Uriah Del Harris.
Okay. Listen, she will always be Miss Cleo, unfortunately.
Always.
But I recognize this scene because of it being mentioned in the documentary that she was up in Seattle and she was working for a local theater, and they were, set to put on a play. I wouldn't have started the movie there if it was up to me.
Tell me why.
Only because the movie sort of like tries to put you in a place where it's like, okay, you don't know anything about this person, so we're going to tell you about her story from this point, right? When really, we already go into it knowing about Miss Cleo, right? Most people who are going to be watching this know Miss Cleo. If you say Miss Cleo, boom, the image pops up in your head, okay? So why not start at the climax of it all? I wish they had a better court scene than what they did. I would have started at court. I would have started in the middle of all of the like craziness, right? Started at that point, locked everyone in, and then went back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, kind of the let me tell you how I got here kind of thing.
Right, without saying that, because Lifetime is pretty direct. But I would have started with that just to kind of drum up the drum. We know what we're getting into, and then take us back to her being at the theater. I didn't mind the scene or whatever, and I enjoyed it because it gave us the visual of Lady of Rage as Cleo, and it, it set the tone. But I wouldn't have started there. What were your thoughts with the opening scene?
I knew they'd start there. When it opened, I was like, of course we're starting here. All right. Y'all are trying to paint the picture that, she has a sketchy past and sketchy behavior. So I knew that they would start there, but by them starting there, I was like, okay, they're just going to go, everything's chronological. They're just going to tell the story. It's not going to be anything that like we haven't heard or that we didn't know or that wasn't covered in the doc. It's literally just that in Lifetime form. So, all right.
So, and they get through much of her story in pretty quick succession, which again, I think was unfortunate. Her past is so sketchy, right? Where's she from? Who's, et cetera, et cetera. Another thing that this movie did was it painted her out. It really wanted to like make her seem more like a victim than what the documentary did, I feel like.
I agree. Yeah.
And it wanted you to empathize with her. So we get to see her with her daughters. I don't even know if her daughters were really even mentioned in the documentary.
Can we talk about it? Because I'm watching this and I'm like, I know. I watched this documentary and I don't remember them ever mentioning her having children, let alone children that live with her and move from across the country to Florida and like that being a part of the story. That blew my mind. So yeah.
And I don't think that Lifetime is like silly enough to just like, make up stuff. So maybe it was just left out of the documentary a little bit. I would have to go back and watch it again.
So significant though.
It's
having children, 2 children is significant. It's usually the opposite.
Yeah.
Usually they will put the kids in the documentary, but leave them out of the movie because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That blew me away. I was like, really? 2 kids?
Yeah.
2?
And it changes the perspective of how you view that's their intention with this film. It changes the perspective of how you view Miss Cleo in her rise, right? Because we're still in that part. So we see her with her daughters, the young actors who played her daughters sucked.
What?
They weren't good. They were not good on camera. But
this is not what I thought was coming out of your mouth.
But it fit the Lifetime formula. And then there's a scene where she's, talking to her mom and, she's moving from place to place. She just skipped out on the theater and took the money, the grant money, which again, the people who were at the theater and they were talking to the officer and, you know, making a police report. They sucked.
I hate you.
You know, but she has a conversation with her mom. Her mom, played by light skin
Daphne Reid, light skin on Viv.
And she's like, you know, bring those babies to me, kind of thing, right? And in my mind, I thought that that's what it was gonna be. She was gonna drop her girls off and go and do her thing. But they showed us that she was basically always with her daughters, you know, basically looking for work with her children in mind, which, you know, that's what Black mamas do, right?
But do you think that they made sure to play that up because it's Lifetime and because of who the demographic is, and the people who are watching Lifetime are mamas and women with kids and people, you know, so they were really, really, really playing that aspect up. I would love to hear from her kids and like get their perspective. Like, was it really like that? Was it really like this hardworking mom who's got to get what she got to do for her kids? Or was it like, no, my mama was a scammer and she had us going from home to home because she kept scamming? But like, I would love to see their side of it.
So, again, they move pretty fast in this movie, okay? So we move forward and we see her, you know, she's running low on funds that she stole from the theater, so she has to look for work. And one thing I want to point out is I think this movie wanted to almost insufferably remind us that we were in the 90s.
Why you say that?
Huh?
Why you say that?
Well, okay, so the subtle notes would be her looking for a job in the newspaper, right? Because that used to be a thing. Job listings were in the newspaper. You find, you know, the look, you know, what is it? Job listings page. The one ads is what they call it. And you know, you search and you call numbers, you go to addresses, you put your application on, etc. So that's like, okay, cool. Now we're setting the tone of the time period. But then the horrendous soundtrack that they chose for the entirety of the movie. Oh my gosh. I was like, at the beginning, I didn't mind it. I was like, okay, it's 90s, like, yeah, okay, a little electronics, pop. Okay, cool, whatever. But then there were scenes that were meant to be like pretty serious. Like when she goes and meets the brothers. Were they brothers?
I was waiting to get to this part.
Were they
because
brothers?
when I was watching, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Were they brothers in real life?
I don't know. I can't.
Or just business partners?
I don't know. They bros. How about that, bros?
they're brothers in crime. But no, she
brothers in crime.
So there's a scene where before we even get there, she looks for the job. She ends up finding the psychic reading network. They kind of do a bad job of explaining why she would have been drawn to that job. You know, because
money. Okay.
But it wasn't that simple, because it obviously was like, okay, here's something that I know about, that I get, because she had the upbringing that she had. She knew about tarot cards and she was already into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when she saw this, she was like, okay, I don't think they did a good job of saying like what her motivation would have been for going after that job in the want ads, right? Because it would have she would have went in thinking that it was something a bit different than what it ended up being. That being said,
they probably didn't run a background check, and you know she was a scammer, so
of course they didn't. But I just mean the way that they did the scene in the movie. Like they just put it as she just saw a list of jobs and she circled it and chose that job. But she would have been drawn to it because she was into, you get it. Yeah, but anyways, so she arrives at the job. Her supervisor, played by Coco Brown, is very supervisor at a call center-esque.
And when you get 2 breaks, 1.5 hour lunch break, you're not a sweatshop, but hey, they are always watching. And they track when you're logged in and when you're available to take calls. Time is money. Remember that? You'll go far here, okay? All right, have a seat.
If you've ever in your life worked at a call center and have had that type of job, this is
was accurate.
That manager. This was that.
This is accurate. Like, here, look, consider this your orientation. Get on those calls, right?
When she said get on that phone and log in, I got hives. Ooh, like I just started to itch. Like I was like, ooh, PTSD.
But So that happens, and she ends up doing really well at the job to the point that the corporate, the people higher up, notice that she's making money hand over fist. Another thing, and then we'll get into the meeting with the brothers, the scammers. Another thing is that them noticing her performance. I also don't think they did a good job of that either, because to me, logically, it would have been, who's this lady that we keep having to pay all these bonuses out to? That's how she got noticed, because they were making money per calls, right? And who is this lady we keep having to pay all this money out to? That's really why. Let's be honest. Okay. Yeah. So they end up noticing her. She gets called to a meeting. Apparently she was in Florida, right?
Yes, Fort Lauderdale, I think.
And they were somewhere else, if I'm not mistaken. So they would have had to fly her out, but they didn't even say that they did, whatever. But yeah, she ends up getting called up to become the face of the Psychic Readers Network. So this scene, Tiera, let's talk about
this. This is what I've been waiting on. Let's go.
Go ahead.
So this is the scene where she meets the higher ups, the corporates, the owners, and she walks in and they are meeting at like some sort of restaurant. It looks like a little private area. I don't know. It gave me like sushi place. It was dark. It was dim. Like that's kind of what I was getting. But they don't disclose that. That's not the point. They're drinking cocktails. It's very like schmooze. It's very like, ooh, we love how you're doing the things. People are calling for you, want to talk to you directly. Like, we want you on our team. But during this scene, there's this dialogue. There are 3 characters in the scene. Very important scene, because this is really the turning point of where she becomes the Miss Cleo that we all know. So very important. Which means that we need to hear the dialogue.
I thought it was just me. I thought it was my device. I'm sitting here watching on my phone, and I was like, why can't I hear what they're saying? All I hear is this 90s generic tune.
You connect with the people, this character you play.
Cleo,
yeah. With the accent, the tarot cards. I love it.
The music was so loud. And this is for the audience when you're watching. Y'all, the music was so loud. You know how like you in a car with somebody and the music be loud, y'all trying to have a conversation. So at some point, somebody turns the radio down. Nobody turned the radio down.
I kid you not. At one point during that scene, I went and pressed the audio thing, the mute, because I was like, what is this? And I was like, no, this is it's something got messed up in the mix. But clearly, honestly,
it was terrible.
That scene should have been virtually quiet for what you were meaning to pull out of it, because like you said, it was the turning point. It was the moment that she met with the bigwigs who said, hey, we want to take Miss Cleo to the next level. And they just played this goofy tune over the whole thing. Major bad move. Strange. Along with the one of the guys, he was asking for a drink. But they did this thing where, it's really only 3 actors in the scene, right? And so he's asking for a drink from the waiter, but there's no waiter in scene, right? And he does this thing where he's like,
yeah.
let me get another one, kind of thing. He's just cringy all the way. And I was like, oh gosh, we did it. We really are in Lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And this is not a knock on Lady Ridge. This is more of a knock on the dialogue and the directing, because that scene, she was just like, all right, like she asked a question or two, and then she was like, all right, man, I'm down. Like, it wasn't like, wait a minute, hold up, why me? Wait a minute, how do I, what?
Exactly. And then in that same scene, again, mind y'all, the music is loud over the dialogue, okay? That scene is also the scene where she explains, I created Miss Cleo because of X, Y, and Z. And, I was taught about tarot growing up. Like, she's really giving us the back, which, like I said, should have been implemented when she was looking for the job kind of thing. But she was giving us her background, in a quick gist so you get it, to, talk to and it was just bad. It was just bad. It was bad.
That really could have been and should have been an extremely important scene in the movie, and it was giggly. It made me laugh.
Yeah, I was so mad. So, as we all know, Miss Cleo ends up, becoming a celebrity, a real celebrity, a real celebrity out there, and she blows up into superstardom. And what we kind of see, or what they try to do, is give us some made up characters to drive home just how significant Miss Cleo was, being on those phones, talking to people, and then going from being on the phones, answering real calls, to superstardom, where she's just a mascot at that point. And what they try to do is they try to give us characters who are desperate. They also try to take some of the other employees who are working at the call center and show us their frustration with all the work that they're getting now. And that's where we see Tawanda Braxton and a young lady who's playing her daughter. The character's name is Portia.
Yes.
Portia calls the call center when Miss Cleo's working the phones. So this would have been, some like a year or more before she got called up. And she ends up connecting with Cleo, asking for Cleo directly when she calls, making Cleo plenty of money. And she connects with Cleo to the point that she, believes in what she's saying and everything. Well, when Miss Cleo becomes this huge, celebrity, this huge star, she can't get through the line anymore, right? And they want to show how serious it was in the 90s for people blowing up the line and getting charged all this money by these scammers. So her mom, played by Tawanda Braxton, is fussing about like the phone bill and stuff. How many Braxton sisters are there?
There's 5.
There's 5, okay. Is Tawanda the one that they want?
TeaRon!
Listen, I've been so entertained by Tawanda on reality TV for many years. I was equally tickled by her performance in this role as an angry black mama in the 90s who's mad about her phone bill. This was a mess. It
was. However, it gave what it could give. Like, what is she supposed to do with it?
The truth of the matter is they could have left out that, whole thing with the young girl who wants to keep calling the line, running up her mom's phone bill. They could have left it out completely. And it wouldn't
but it's supposed to be driving home. You know this. It's driving home the point that people are mad about these phone bills.
Yeah, but they could have just done that with a quick montage of people calling the line and being upset that their bill is high.
I agree. Now let me pause you here. Let me pause you here because I'm just really curious. So when you were young and these commercials were on, did you ever wonder how Miss Cleo was on the phone at all times of day or night? Because I certainly did. Now you remember context. We were children. Yeah. I didn't realize that people were calling and talking to like whoever psychic and that she was just like the mascot. I used to be so confused. I was like, how is she on the phone all the time, day and night? Yeah. How?
Well, after a while, it was just like, there were like little automated, messages and stuff. So you call in and be like, hey, child. And then, you press the tones to get through the line or whatever. But there would be automated, like, things or whatever.
But like little young baby TeaRon, did you ever wonder?
No, I just wanted to call. I never called, but I just wanted to call. I didn't care one way or the other. When I got older, it made sense.
Did you ever know anybody who actually called?
I'm sure I did, but they probably won't admit it at this point. I'm sure I did.
If anybody is watching or listening to this and y'all either called or somebody who called, please let us know.
Please let us know when you called the psychic line, what happened? Let us know your story. Please tell us. I got to know that. Tell us.
We want to know for real.
But from there, we kind of get to the point where the guys, Peter and who? Steven. Peter and Steven start to get investigated by the feds and all this stuff. And fast forward, again, we end up getting into court. And once they kind of start to like oust Miss Cleo, not communicating with her, telling her how to go about things, you know, for the sake of the company, paying her crumbs, which they didn't really mention in this movie. But we know from the documentary that she was getting paid, you know, a basic salary.
Yeah.
Albeit at the time good money for the 90s, but she was getting paid a basic salary and maybe some appearance fees for doing the public stuff, whatever. Yeah. But you know, they hinted at, oh, we own the name and brand Miss Cleo. We, you know, they just didn't want anything to do with her. I don't think that came across well, the conflict that would have been going on with them. They try to do this thing where she enters the office to try and meet with one of them, but the security doesn't let her in. Again, she was just like, okay, and left. You know, she didn't really. To me, though, when I see Miss Cleo and I think of her image, to me, Cleo was a cusser. And that's the thing, too, in this movie, there's some cussing moments, but it's Lifetime. They just edited it out. Why put it in there?
Yeah, I was confused by that. Like, is that well, you don't know. People who are watching this, is that a typical thing on Lifetime? Do they typically like say the cuss words but bleep them? Or is that like a new thing? Or is that like for this movie specific? Because that stood out to me.
I don't know what the point was. Like, you may as well change the script.
Yeah.
But she seemed like she was a cusser in real life. Let me put it that way. Definitely. And I don't think she would have.
And smoke cigarettes.
Oh yeah, which we didn't see her do in this movie either.
Not once. I was thinking that. I was like, it's the 90s. You're not gonna tell me Miss Cleo wasn't smoking cigarettes. You're not gonna tell me.
Oh yeah, but they get to court. Miss Cleo finally has to go to court to speak her side. At this point, we're in the early 2000s. That scene where she's with her lawyer, and she's basically pleading the fifth the whole scene. Yeah. What a waste of a scene.
She said, I played the fifth about 17 times in that scene. I was like,
she should have just said that. But she was saying it as you say it on record, which was like, what's the verbiage? Let me see if I can remember.
I evoke my constitutional right to plead the fifth
because
to not incriminate myself.
Baby.
In my head, I was like, how many times did they have to do this? How many takes was this? Because I know.
That was all the takes. That was all the takes right there. When she said it 18 times. That was all the takes.
I was like, I know she stumbled over these words. I know she did. I know it.
It was just a court scene can be used as a great tool in television to pull out drama, to really stir up like trouble, cause dilemmas. You can pull out emotion from certain characters. And this, being Lifetime, was very like overlooked. Like, okay, let's make sure we get that court scene in. But it could have. Oh, they failed. They failed. I even if that's how it went, even if that is what it was on record, she could have just said it 3 times, and they could have slowed it up at that scene, and like just gave us close-ups, you know, eyes shifting, finger tapping, whatever was going on, just to kind of, you know, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Who are we?
But that being said, we get to the end of her story, and if you've seen the documentary, you know that her story didn't just come to an immediate end after that. She had a, you know, fulfilling time around people that she wanted to be around in her later years, right?
Yeah, I think it was that part was a little disappointing that it ended so abruptly.
Yeah.
And it did not show, like you said, the documentary really depicted and shared, like it included people who were in her life and who knew her and who loved her for the person she was. And I really hate that wasn't shown. Of course, all the shenanigans were shown, but like that piece wasn't shown. And if they're going to tell the story the way that they told it, you might as well wrap it up in a nice, pretty bow by showing that. But they didn't do that. I thought that was weird.
They just stopped and gave us a flashcard at the end. You know, Miss Cleo went on to, you know, that kind of thing. My rating.
Come on.
So I was glad to see Lady of Rage on camera doing her thing, and she was by far the best part of the entire movie. For what she had to work with, she did her thing, right? I think that she did a good job of embodying, what Cleo was as a character. And then it was also fun to see her kind of go in and out of the accent as likely Cleo would have been, right?
I thought that was good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've definitely noticed that in several scenes, and I was like, I love how she's doing this.
Yeah, and it was fine for what it was, but again, it's Lifetime. They won't even let you go there all the way.
Yeah.
The overall story, we knew it because of how successful that documentary was and how thorough it was. That being the precursor for this, biopic, if you will, really set the biopic up for major scrutiny. It was like, yo, y'all ain't doing this no justice. A lot of the extras, they just, the performances were not great. Coco Brown did her thing as a supervisor. She embodied that. I was glad to see Tim Reid being involved, but I feel like he was probably very limited with what he could have done with this.
How do you feel about Daphne being involved? Are you excited about that?
I do like to see our actors of yesteryear still working. Like,
Yeah.
I do enjoy that. But Daphne's performance wasn't anything to write home about. It just wasn't. And again, it's Lifetime. It just seemed to be very limiting, I guess, because we've seen these people do other work. We've seen these people, have dramatic scenes and do things, and it's like they couldn't do anything here. So, whatever. I am going to have to give the Miss Cleo biopic a Stacey Dash. And it sucks. It sucks. I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be so much better than it was. But having only one person carry the whole movie and the story, having so many lulls, the mixing on the track, the music being too loud in certain scenes, and the cringy performances, it just was too much for me. What about you, T?
Well, I also enjoyed seeing Robin Allen, A Lady of Rage. I'm with you. I want to see more of her. I don't know if she don't want to do more, and that's okay. If she want to live her life in private, I understand. If not, give her more roles and put her in more things. I really, really, really enjoyed seeing her and want to see more. So yes, for that. I'm going to echo you. Yes, for Tim Reid and for Daphne. We love seeing, our Black actors getting work, making things, doing the things. We love that. As for this movie, I felt like the timing of it was weird. So I'm not sure why this is randomly out now when the HBO doc was out like several years ago and all the hoopla and everything was like drummed up then, but then this randomly came out. So I don't know, like the timing is strange. And like you said, if we hadn't seen the documentary, maybe this movie would have had a better chance, but we saw the documentary. So we didn't need this. We really did not need this. I'm trying to think of some more positive. No, because like I just like even at the end, it was like the ending was so abrupt. It was just like it just ended. Y'all didn't talk about like her life following this. Yeah, for me, I'm actually gonna give it a Kevin Hart. And the only reason why y'all are getting a Kevin Hart is because of Lady of Rage. So shout out to her who carried this whole entire film. I appreciate you. We love seeing you. And y'all need to give her flowers. And yeah, it's a Kevin Hart for me.
Yeah. I don't know why I would expect anything different.
But you didn't though. Like you didn't expect
I did because again, here is someone with a story, with a presence, it's like, here it is. Here's something to work with. And y'all somehow managed to knock it down of several pegs. It's crazy to me.
Interesting.
I do wonder how, and this is always good. This may just never allow it to happen, but I do wonder how Miss Cleo's story would be on a different network that allowed it to really like be a bit dark or shot in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't. Lifetime is a little too light for what I think they could have gotten into. So
fair enough. Well, before we get out of here and wrap this up, I have one last question. TeaRon, is Miss Cleo a scammer?
Okay, is Miss Cleo a scammer? I am going to say no. I'm gonna say no because when it comes down to it, we know that she was not getting paid what she should have been at that time, which was probably her only saving grace, was because if she was getting paid, you know, millions, which she should have been, she would have looked more like she was involved in the whole thing. And the only reason she kind of got off and, you know, got to just go on with her life privately was because she was just getting paid like a regular employee. Right? I think if she meant to scam, she would have asked for more money early on.
Yeah.
And I think that the Peter and Steven, I think they only let her in or let her in the know of what they wanted her to let be, you know in the know of. I don't think she knew the extent of what it was, but I also don't think she cared.
Yeah.
I think she just wanted to do her thing. And she was getting a lot of praise. She was a celebrity, right?
Yep.
And she was, you know, feeding her family. She was living a decent life. But I don't think she was a scammer. No. Some people they try to put that on her for a long time, but nah. No. I think she just, it's one of those things where if somebody tells you, hey, they're giving out free such and such, you got to follow this link and do this thing, and you go and you get some of the free such and such, they don't make you a part of the scam that was, you know, how you got the free such and such. You just, you know, were taking advantage of opportunity, but you didn't know the people who were sending that link around was scamming.
Correct. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. Points were made.
Justice for Miss Cleo. But anyway, if you've been watching this long, God bless you, because they didn't give us anything to work with here. So as always, I am TeaRon. You can find me on Instagram at TeaRon World, on TikTok at TeaRon2_ on the end. You can find Ubiquitous Blacks all over the social medias at Ubiquitous Blacks. And if you have any recommendations, any informations, all the gestations and testiculation, that's not a good word to say.
Oh, wow.
Jubilations. There we go.
Ooh, hey man, right back.
You can email us, ubiquitousblacks@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Let us know, did you call Miss Cleo in the 90s? Don't be ashamed. We're not going to judge you here.
Please let us know.
Why wouldn't you call? It was the thing to do. But let us know your experience if you did call. And then what else is there? Oh, wait, you can text us if you listen to this as an audio medium. Just scroll down to the description. It will say send us a text. You can text us. You can also...
Yes, so if you called, send us a text and tell us that you called. That way, we don't even know your profile.
Text us now for your free...
Text us and let us know if you called Miss Cleo's hotline. I just need to know. I need to know.
Text us now, child. And
Good job, baby girl.
baby girl, text us now. And you can also leave us a donation, whether it be in the description there. You can donate to Ubiquitous Blacks, or here on the YouTube channel, you can also do so. Anything you donate will be something that goes towards helping us make this platform bigger and better. And if you have any ideas, you want to be a guest, etc., hit us up. Hit us up, okay? Tiera, where can they find you?
Well, y'all, you can find me at All Things Ubiquitous Blacks, of course. But if you want to find me 101, I am Tiera Takes. So it's at Tiera Takes on all the socials. And also come by my YouTube channel. I am doing travel content, and it's at Tiera Takes. Or if you just want to make it easy and reach out, go to my website. It's TeaRonTakes.com. And I'm going to echo TeaRon. Send all the things our way, comments, suggestions, anything you want us to watch, review. We will check it out. We love when people send things our way, because it is hard for us to make a list all the time and come up with different things. So when y'all know stuff, send it our way. We'll check it out.
And I'm going to tell you now.
Uh-oh.
Don't send us anything Lifetime for the next 6 months.
You know what? You're right. We've already done some Lifetimes, and
Don't send us anything Lifetime. We may as well be going down the Tubi list for this.
No, send us some Tubi. I'm okay. We haven't done any Tubi. Send us some Tubis. It's all good. I'll make him watch it.
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. Well, until we do this thing again, we will see you all next week. Peace out.